Welcome back to a little meme stock update today. We will look what happened to AMC this week. We'll make a little update on GME. Because of the price movements, we also make a little update on BYND. We will look at Webull. I will make a little update on DJT. And because of the latest price movements, we will also look at OpenDoor. If you're interested, just stay tuned. As always, I'm using the Fractal Method. I'll link the explanation video at the end of this video, or you just search for the playlist Fractal Method on my channel. Okay, well, then let's start with AMC. So for AMC, just a little summary for our new guys. AMC is in a megaphone pattern. We touched it in IPO, of course. Then we touched it in March 2020. We touched it in April 2024. And right now we touched it again, or even broke a little bit under it too. If we are finished with our pullback and found our bottom now or in the next weeks, we should go up. Our ultimate target is, of course, the upper trend line of this megaphone for our squeeze target. I'm still one of the persons who is tracking it as a two-part squeeze, not a one-part squeeze. But if we do a one-part squeeze now, well, then our target is something between 800 and 900. And I know that sounds stupid, but to say that, we also did a 3000% in 2020. To say that's impossible, I mean, you can think whatever you want. I'm still thinking about the two-part squeeze just because we did the same thing in 2020 and I'm tracking 2020. Means, how would that look like? Well, we would break out here, out of this 5-year-long trend line. We will pull back, break out, retest this trend line. And in 2020, this pullback to the peak lasts 123 days. Because the fractal is always getting bigger and slower, I would imagine that this version here would take at least till next year, in my opinion. You will pull back and then till end of the year or next year, January, May, you will do this slowly uptrend before you squeeze to your upper trend line. Yeah, could be wrong. Maybe we're doing a one-part squeeze and we are all happy. For price target for the first part, we would just do the same thing. Breakout of this trend line, retest. How high? Well, we just take from our bottom to our peak the fib. And as you see here, this was also a 6.618 fib pullback. In that case, you can do that now too, if that now was our bottom. You just look how high you go to not breaking this trend line and touching the 618 fib retracement again. So something between 120, 150 would be our first part squeeze. Okay, well, then let's look what we have done last week. So just one thing before we start with the update. I try to be not bullish and not bearish. I try to be as neutral as possible. Yeah? Because it doesn't help you if I'm over bullish and we are going next week or we are knifing next week. That isn't helping anybody. I really try to look at all these things as neutral as possible. And because of the question that this potato guy, potano, however it's called, because of the 50-cent price target. I say this only one time. The thing with this guy is, first of all, he was wrong quite 90% of the time. And you don't have to believe me, just backtrack him. Go on his Twitter or even on his YouTube and look up what he has said in the last 2 years. Because when I do that, he is quite every time wrong, whatever he is saying. Next thing is, every time you tell him that, he is banning you instantly because he doesn't like that when people are showing him that he was wrong. He bans people instantly. And the last time he said we are going to 50 cents and everyone should go out was, I think, April 2024 or May 2024, weeks before we got this little squeeze to $13. Don't believe me. Look it up. This guy is at least dangerous, in my opinion. Not saying we can't go to 50 cents. I just don't think that we break $1. For the tracking now. Well, in the last update, I said, as long as we're not touching 121, this could have been our V, because if you really zoom in, this was 0.001 cent lower, so it wasn't a double bottom. The problem is now we touched it on Friday or on Thursday. It was the clear sign that we will go lower. Yeah? And maybe the 0.001 cent was just a glitch from TradingView. Yeah, sadly. If we look now at this bottom here, it's, in my opinion, clear to say this is not a V. So yeah, sadly, in my opinion, I think next week we will go lower. Yeah, I still will give you a bullish alternative. Why ever? It never happened before, but why ever this would be our V? If you go over 1.33, this line here, that would be bullish, and this would be our bottom. Yeah? Only way. If not, we just look what we have done since Thursday, the 12th of February, just this thing here. And that means that this was your top, this was your lower high. Last Friday was our M and our midpoint. And in my opinion, you even have a chance to go up a little bit. Yeah. I mean, we're on the 30-minute. I thought maybe we're going sideways. And then Tuesday is the earnings call, a little bit up for our T. But I think this could be already T, or we're just forming the small T, and we have to do another drop. Yeah. I still don't think we break $1. Yeah. Could be wrong, but yeah. But I really want to see, just I already showed that in the last videos. The squeeze, the V from 2021, the V from 2024, and even the V from 2025 was something like this here. You want to see one candle up and down for your V. Not a double button, quadruple button, or whatever button. Yeah, one candle, not something like that. So if we're not just squeezing from here, what will happen? Well, if maybe this is your T or you go a little bit up, then you will go down. Hopefully one last time. What will happen then? Well, we have now our new trend line, this here. This will be your small higher low. So you won't break over 135, make your higher low, hopefully holding this higher low now. After that, you break out and do your big A. The thing is, this A will, in my opinion, reject the 200 EMA, wherever it will be then. And then you do your breakout retest or your 0.5 pullback. And in the moment you did this, you are going to squeeze. One part or two part squeeze. Yeah? And the next thing is, this would be, so version 1, you go down to whatever. I mean, no, sorry. Version 1, you squeeze from here because fuck double buttons, we don't care, we go up. Then you still do your higher low and your A, and then you squeeze. Version 2, double buttons, as every time in the past, are not good. You will find you will have to do one last V. Then you're doing your higher low, your A, you run to the 200 EMA, 0.5 pullback, and squeeze. Version 3 is whatever of the 1 or 2 versions. So it doesn't matter if you go from here or you have to go lower. You just don't care about the little higher low. You just go to your A, to the 200 EMA. And then you do the 0.5 pullback, and then you squeeze. Yeah. Was that clear enough now? Yeah. Just to say that you can just jump the higher low and just go to A, but you have to do the 0.5 pullback. Or you really do the long versions, the higher low, and then the A. Yeah. For timing, I have to say, I see no chance for next week. No chance. Yeah. And as always, you squeeze on Monday or Friday, and there's no way you squeeze on Tuesday or Wednesday, because we never did that in the past. For first week of March, let's say, if we really do this shit till Friday, perfect. Then we have a chance for a first week of March. If not, well, in my opinion, it would be mid-March, end of March. Yeah. And if we really fucking slow, well, then it will be April, May again. Yeah. Hard to say. I want to see the landmarks. Right now, we are just stepping down. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Next one is GME. For GME, I have to say, I don't even know if I should show that. Yeah. I still have an absolutely bullish version, but I also found an absolutely terrifying shit bearish version. The main problem with GME right now, what I have, is the low of 2020. Because if you remember, I always said that this whole thing is higher low. Yeah. And if I look at method adjusted on TradingView, and so that's all fine, because that is showing you that this here in February 2003 was a lower low and the 2020 was a higher low. But then I Googled it, yeah, and 50% of all websites are telling me that 2020 was an all-time low, and other 50% are telling me it was a higher low. So I can't say what is true now. Yeah? IBKR is telling me that 2020 was an absolute all-time low. The problem with, does it even matter? The problem is, if this is our all-time low, if 2020 March was our all-time low, is we didn't do the higher low yet. And here comes the absolutely bearish version. I'm not thinking that it is happening, but just as an old, the absolutely bearish version would mean that 2021, January, was the peak of our higher low. That would also mean that May 2024 was our lower high. That would mean you have to drop now under $10.05, come up again, do your T, and then fall to $2. And this whole thing would be our macro higher low. And the shitty part about this is not the price, yeah, not the $2. The shitty part about this is, the shitty part is time. Because this will take 3, 4, 5, maybe even 10 years. And this would kill, if there's any synchronization between AMC and GME, this will kill AMC. definitely. AMC goes bankrupt if this is happening. Yeah? So I'm not thinking that, forget that, okay? But as an alternative. What would now be the bullish version? The thing is, if this was your all-time low, there's still a bullish version. And I think it's the main version. Yeah? Means we still have to do the big macro higher low. But that means that January 2021 was still our A from the higher low. That means we are now squeezing to our B, making the pullback, squeezing to our C. And this C here would be the peak of our macro higher low. It would be a massive higher low. After you did this peak, after that, you will do your V under A, because higher low is always ending in a V under A. But even this version, this will take 2 to 10 years to get to your C. Yeah. But that's the only way to make this bullish if this here was really an all-time low. So the main tracking for GME is nothing changed. We did our A pullback from January. This version from 2024 till today is still our micro higher low just from the A, and we will squeeze now to our B. Where would our next squeeze to B be? Well, in my opinion, I'm still saying we won't go to 1,000, 5,000, 100 million or whatever. We will just go to this trend line. The same what we did in 2021, which would mean between 300 and 500-ish. Because we can break a little bit over it like 2008, but not much. After that, we will do the same what GME is always doing. We get a one-part squeeze to the top. We instantly knife down, the same what we did in 2021, the same what we did in May 2024. We will come up again and forming a lower high, same as 2021, same as 2024. And then we will take a multi-year pullback. The same like 2024, the same like 2021. And then we go to our C, if someone is even caring then. So let's zoom in what we have done in the last weeks. And for this, I have two versions. Yeah. I mean, the third version would be we go still to $17, and then we have to do the higher low. Yeah, everyone knows that I'm still have this alternative. Not believing that yet, but in the baddest version would be that this here would just be another T, and we have to break at least $19.60 and will most likely go to 17. If not, the most bullish version is we are finished here, breakout, go between 28 and 35. Yeah, so our A, 0.5 pullback, breakout, retest of this trend line, and then we squeeze. Same as AMC. I still give that a chance. I just don't believe that. My main tracking is the same like I showed last week. Means that this whole thing is just a little higher low. Yeah? I mean, we already had our V on November 2025. We did a little higher low here. And now we're doing the bigger higher low. Which means that the peak from last week, from Thursday, 19th of February, was just our tiny T. Means that we have to go lower, even 1 cent, under $21.37. And when we did that, we just do the A, what I showed before. Yeah? Let's see. For levels, if you break 24.08, forget any bearish alternative I right now showed you, we will go up to our A. But I tell you, if you continue with this pullback, and especially if you're breaking 23.09, in my opinion, that is confirmation that you will go to 21.37. Yeah, could be wrong. Yeah? But let's see. For timing, I mean, okay, that's 8%, but it wouldn't be the first time that GME would move that quick. You really have to look at GME and AMC together. Yeah. If you get strong movement, doesn't matter to the downside or to the upside, we can speed up. But also this isn't showing me anything for the next 2 weeks, in my opinion. Yeah. Okay. Next one is BYND. So short summary again. BYND started its IPO in the run to its all-time high, to its C, then lower high. At the same time, AMC and GME squoze. Then midpoint, our midpoint, which is our B target. Then we fall to our last time to sell, which is our next squeeze target, around $15 to $25. Then we knife down to our bottom, all-time bottom, in October. And after that, we did our big higher low. When this big higher low is finished, we will, in my opinion, quite quick, like October, squeeze up to our A, which in my opinion is still end of March, April. Something over $15, best case $22, $25. Then we do a breakout retest or 0.5 pullback, most likely $2. Then we go to our B, 0.5 pullback, and then we test all-time highs. Or because we never saw what A and B was, we just saw the last part of the run to C, we do something stupid like this. I don't think that, but it's a possibility. We still have, okay, let's say it like this. I have two bullish versions. There is one absolutely catastrophic bearish version. We start with the absolute catastrophic bearish version. And that means that it all is how do you say that? It's about the M and the T. Yeah? In the most bearish version, our M was December. That means that our T was this peak last Thursday. And that means you have at least drop under 64 cents. Yeah? And then the only thing is, are you holding the all-time low or are you doing a new all-time low? Yeah? That's the most bearish version. I don't believe that, but always have an alternative, or you get surprised like FFAI or DJT. Now to the two bullish versions. For the two bullish version, everything is fine. This is M, this is T. The higher low was finished on February the 5th. And right now, we're just finishing this little higher low. For the bearish version, for this bullish version, means that this last peak we did on Thursday was our small t. That only means that we have to break down under 86 cents. And like I showed in the old tracking, we still have to gap fill this gap here. Yeah. So between 56 cents and 66 cents. Yeah. So you will go down, you will gap fill, and then you go. Yeah. That's the bullish bearish version. The bullish version, nothing is changing. This was still your T. This here was still your V. What is this now here? This, and this. Well, in that case, these are three little higher lows because it just needs time. Because if you take the fib from here to here, this is a V. If you take the fib from here to here, this is a higher low. And if you take the fib from here to here, you maybe have to go a little bit lower here. Under 71 cents, but then you go. Yeah? But this is just time. That's time the fractal is waiting on something. Yeah? For the bullish version, I think in the next 2 weeks, you go up. Yeah. Everything over 82 cents, and especially everything over $1.02, and there is no alternative anymore to the downside, and you will go up. To the downside, it's more difficult because if I say, well, if you break 70 cents, you will gap fill at 65 cents. That isn't helping you. Yeah. It still looks fantastic. Yeah. Let's see what the Fractal is giving us next week. Okay, next one is Webull. And Webull is looking better every day. Also, Webull started its IPO in the higher low, instantly with 2 candles squeezed up to its C, made its lower high, made its bigger M, which is our next B point, fall down to its last time to sell, to its T, which is our target now for our A, and then in the best case already did its all-time low on February 5th. Before we look into this, the bearish version is this is just a bounce and you will fall to a new all-time low again. Yeah? Can't say this can't happen 100% anymore. I just don't think that. If the bottom in February is true, you're finishing your higher low right now. We'll look in a second. Our next target, and in my opinion, the peak of the next target is A, which is over $10 to $15. Latest March 20. No financial advice, in my opinion. Then 0.5 pullback or breakout retest up to a B, and the B should be over $18. 0.5 pullback up to its C. For the normal tracking. For the stupid tracking, we're just repeating what we did in IPO, and that means something like this. I can't rule that out because we already did that. It would be a stupid move, but it wouldn't be the first time. Just don't play it like that. Yeah, no financial advice, and you can do whatever you want. But if you really start sell into momentum would be my advice. Yeah, and especially if you see around $10-15 that we're getting slower, we will do step by step. If we're just fucking running, and especially if we're breaking over $18-20, okay, then we're doing this shitty stupid move, and everyone would be happy. Okay, well then let's look what we have done in the last weeks. So if this here was the bottom on February 5th, which it could really be, because if you look closely, this candle is a little bit higher. So this would be just a little higher low. And this rule for no double bottoms is kind of really only a rule for AMC and GME, or especially AMC. So if this bottom is true, then we're just doing the higher low before we start our moves. We also perfectly hit this trend line. The peak of the higher low would be February 10. Still, we have 2 versions. Version 1, we are finished. Version 1, this higher low was finished on February 19. And we may be doing a micro higher low here. That means we have to drop under 584, even only 1 cent. And then we go. Or this whole thing is finished and we just go. That would be the bullish version. The bullish bearish version means that this was our T, and even technically it is finished, we still have to gap fill. What gap fill I mean? I mean this gap fill from Thursday the 5th of February between $5.70 and $5.79. That means we will drop down here and then we go. But we are on the 30-minute, and to say that it's only 4%. All in all, even with this bullish bearish version, this thing looks absolutely fucking ready to go. Let's see what next week is giving us. Okay, next one is DJT. And for DJT, I really have to say, yeah, my previous tracking was wrong. And I mean the section of November till today. This section, because I tracked it as a higher low, yeah, which we broke, yeah, so it can't be a higher low anymore. So this is just our tiny t. Yeah. So you can write in my comments, I was wrong here, but I won't ban you for that. Yeah. Just a little hint on Patano, because when you tell him he was wrong, you're banned. I will always show that, yeah, because only if you see your mistakes, you can learn from it. In that case, I just have to say there was not really a possibility, yeah, to say that this could be T. It could have been or could not have been. For the tracking, well, also DJT started in its higher low, did its V, instantly was gapping up. After then, you made your big lower high, your big M, your big T. The problem with DJT is, I think personally that this here on Tuesday the 17th was our V. Could be wrong, but still I think that. What will happen now? Are we bullish now? And the problem with DJT is bullish, yes, but in my opinion, the problem with DJT is time. If this now was our bottom, let's zoom in. If this here was our bottom, we're doing right now our micro high low, and I think this micro high low isn't finished. We still have to drop, what is that, under 9.98 cents. Then this micro high low is finished. The problem with this is, what will happen after? This micro high low is just the start for our small higher low. And this small higher low won't break this trend line here. So this small higher low will look like this. You won't break over $13 in my opinion. Fall back. And after that, you start your big higher low. The big higher low for your M, for your T, for your L. And there are still the two versions for that. Means the short and small higher low would be this here, where you don't break over $22.75 and fall back, just because your T was too short to touch this big trend line. So you put your new trend line between M and T, and your next higher low isn't allowed to break that. And if this rule doesn't matter, you do your big slow higher low, which aren't breaking, what is this, $36. And after all this, you do your A, your B, your C. That's the shit part about DJT right now. I mean, to say that, if you look in the past on DJT, the uptrends are always instant. IPO, instant up. L, instant up. Even the higher lows were instant up. M, single candles to the upside. T, single candles to the upside. Even the small M's, the small M's, the small T's, all instant upside. So what we could see is that if this is finished, we just run, squeeze, or however you want to call it, to the trend line. But then you're slowly grinding downwards, because all the downtrends are slow and shitty, always. So even if we squeeze now up, slowly down, then we do the small higher low, the big higher low, instant up, small down trending. Yeah, that's why it's kind of shitty. Yeah, let's see. I don't think it will go bankrupt, and I think there will be place for this. maybe even this play from $10 to $13, I would sit out this small higher low. Just saying. Yeah. If we do whatever we're doing, if we reject this trend line, no financial advice, and we're downtrending here, then we can look, where is the V&A for this? Where is the 786? Then we can target when could this happen? Because the next move, it doesn't matter if we're going down from $10 to 25 or from $10 to 38. That is something which is worth playing. This little higher low, especially if we don't know that we already got the bottom. Yeah. So no financial advice. I will track it. I will represent it. I would play this to this. And especially I want to play this to this then. Yeah. Right now, I would just wait. Yeah. Okay. And last one is Open Door. And to say this, I hate this company. But not the company because it's not the fault of the company. I hate that stock. Yeah. I will show you why. For Open Door, it's also started its IPO to the run to see, then lower high, midpoint T, down to all-time low to our V. Also nice to see here that our A was at the T line, our B was perfectly at the M line. Also nice to see on this stock is you made your V, you broke out of the trend line, and from your bottom to your peak was a quite good 0.5 pullback. And it was a nice quick 0.5 pullback. And it was also a nice breakout retest. And then you run to your B. And then it started to fuck with me, this stock. Really. That's why I hate it so much. Because you do your, normally for your B pullback, you take your bottom of your A, go to your peak of B, and you do a 0.5 pullback. Well, and because me and my colleagues, we did all the same mistake, we thought, okay, perfect, short A pullback, so short B pullback. So we pulled back, we said this was our T, and here we are close to the 0.5, and the 0.5 doesn't have to be touched or broken, the pullback just have to be close to it. So back then we thought, hey, perfect, this is our B pullback, nice, and then we did this. Yeah, so this was our T. And then we fall back. But the story isn't ending because here we thought, perfect, now we are close to the 0.5. Perfect, so the 0.5, the B pullback is finished. And this here is just higher low. And then we broke it again. Yeah, that's why I hate this stock so much because, So, for the tracking, we now touched the 0.5. We got a pretty good bounce of the 0.5. So in the best case, we're doing now a little micro higher low, which means we have to go even 1 cent under the 4.52, and then we go. Or we just don't do the higher low and we just go. Or the stock is just saying, Nerico, you are bullshit, and you will drop again. Okay? No. For the whale tracking, I really think that could be now the finished B pullback. Our next target is our C. It's the last chat test before this company is dying. That means whatever you're doing, if you're breaking all-time highs or not, after that, you do your V under A. Yeah? And that means something under $1.08. Yeah? For targets, how high it could go. Thing is, it has to go at least over $11. It has to go over B. And then it gets difficult. I would say for no financial advice, for sure price target, it would be something between 24 to 40. This range for your C if you're not breaking just all-time highs and go and do whatever. Yeah. But this now looks bullish. Doesn't matter why it looks bullish. Only little warning. You could, as I showed, do a little higher low right now, and then you go. Yeah. If you break again 427, fuck this stock. But it looks nice. And or you just don't play the upside at all, waiting for the C, waiting for the lower high, and then play puts, because the A is fixed. So this stock will go down to 165. It will. In my opinion, that's 100% sure. We only have to wait for the peak. Okay. As I said in the German video, I have now a Twitter account. I absolutely don't care how many people are following me of this Twitter account. I only made this Twitter account if something is in one day, in short, changing the tracking completely. I will post an update just with an image and with some writing on this Twitter account, because making a video only for a little update is taking too long. Yeah. I say this most of the time, this won't happen anyway, because I always show the bad, the neutral, and the bullish. So I think I quite show every alternative. But if something really bad or really good is happening, I will post it up there. If you're interested. Yeah. Otherwise, I really don't care about X. As always, if you liked it, you can leave a like. Explanation video here, playlist here, and if you want to see more, give me a number. For all the rest, I may be doing an update tomorrow, but nothing really changed on that tracking for the rest. Okay. Well, nice weekend, and let's see what happens next week. See ya.